Today, I've got a real eye opener for you. Have you ever stopped to think what is behind the creamy, irresistible surface of your favorite frozen coffee? Well, get ready to be surprised because in today's video, we're diving deep into the world of sugar shock. So, Dunkin' Donuts has a pumpkin swirl frozen coffee on their menu, and it has 185 grams of sugar. That's right, 185 grams of sugar. Now, I know what you're going to say. Well, that's the large. And that is true, but the small has 98 grams of sugar, and a medium has 142 grams of sugar. So let's look at this. A pumpkin swirl frozen coffee, large size, either with skim milk or whole milk, doesn't matter. The grams of carbs and sugar is the same. There's 185 grams of sugar. There's 194 grams of carbs. But that sugar, 185 grams of sugar. Do you know how much sugar that is? It is a ton of sugar. In fact, it's more than 45 teaspoons of sugar. It's the equivalent of 16 Bavarian cream donuts, the equivalent of 14 glazed donuts, or it's also the equivalent of 10 Boston cream donuts. That's just in this one drink. Can you believe it? Now, I'm not saying that donuts are good for you and you should eat the donuts, but it's amazing that this one frozen coffee drink has that much more sugar in it than that many donuts. 10 Boston cream donuts or 14 glazed donuts or 16 Bavarian cream donuts. Now, if you don't believe me on this, check out Dunkin's website because that's where I got all this information from. It's directly on their website, on their menu, in their nutritional information. Well, this is the highest sugar content on their menu. There are many other eye openers. In fact, 16 of 24 frozen coffee menu items have more than 100 grams of sugar in them. 16 of 24, more than 100 grams of sugar. And of the 8 items that are under 100 grams, the one with the smallest amount of sugar is 90 grams of sugar in a small sized blueberry cobbler frozen coffee. It really doesn't stop there, to be honest. In all, there's 58 items on their menu right now with 100 grams of sugar or more. It's crazy. So think about this. You like your frozen coffee, right? You like to drink coffee. And obviously the frozen coffee option is the one with the highest sugar. There's some other types of coffees on their menu that isn't as bad. Obviously, I said there's 58 items on their menu, 58 items on their menu with more than 100 grams of sugar in it. It's crazy. Again, 16 of the 24 menu items that are coffee for that frozen coffee. Again, 16 of the 24 frozen coffee menu items on Dunkin's menu have more than 100 grams of sugar in them. 100 grams of sugar from that one drink. 194 grams of carbs in this pumpkin swirl frozen coffee. If you're doing even dirty keto, you're keeping it under 50 grams per day. If you're doing normal keto, it should be under 20 grams per day. And this one drink has 194 grams of carbs in it. 185 grams of sugar. More than a dozen glazed donuts. That's what the equivalent is. Now, if that doesn't show you the kind of sugar, inflammation, and glucose issues that we have in this country, then I don't know what does. That's insane. Think about all the people that are overweight and have diabetes and they're drinking these drinks. I mean, obviously this one's called the pumpkin swirl, so it's in on their menu right now for a limited time, right? Because it's the fall season. Some of their other frozen coffee options are very similar. Some with like 170, 175, 180 grams of sugar that are on their menu permanently throughout the entire year. So while this one did have the highest, there's others that are really up there, almost as many grams of sugar. And again, Americans were overweight for the most part, right? Like I think it's more than like 65% of Americans are considered obese. Um, so many Americans either have diabetes or pre-diabetes, and we're drinking these frozen coffees that are just loaded in sugar. And the crazy thing is that nobody is even talking about this. Nobody bats an eye if you're drinking a frozen coffee. But if you tell somebody that you're trying to make yourself healthy and you're going on a low carb or even a no carb diet, like the carnivore diet, they tell you you're crazy. But does anybody tell you you're crazy when you're drinking the pumpkin swirl frozen coffee with 185 grams of sugar? This is exactly what is wrong with our country right now, nutrition wise. And it's all about profits. These companies are making huge profits on selling junk like this to us that is loaded with sugar and is ruining our health. It is up to you and I to do the research to find out what's bad for us like this and stay away from it and eat healthy foods and get healthy for ourselves.